Hello and welcome to another episode of The People's Rose. We're excited to be recording. This is again Brooke and Jarrett. Oh, I didn't give you a chance. I'm Jarrett.
I'm Brooke.
And we're a married couple that loves to watch reality TV. Woo-hoo! We started a podcast against everyone's better judgment. People were literally clawing us, trying to keep us from sharing our reality opinions with the world. But here we are.
My gosh.
Doing the best we can. And like I said, it's a reality TV show, podcast. And so we're going to be talking about The Bachelorette today. We're going to be talking about Claim to Fame. We're going to talk some little previews on little other reality shows we've been watching and some big ones we got coming down the pipe that I'm really excited for. But stick around and check us out. But like I said, we're talking about The Bachelorette first. So what's happening in the Bachelorette world this week, Britt?
Well, we have made it to New Orleans.
Woo-hoo. Nola, as she wanted to say so much.
And Brayden is not here. So
no, okay, that's all we're going to say about him.
I was going to say, what are we even going to have to talk about?
There's tons to talk about.
I know, I'm kidding.
This is Charity's story.
I'm kidding. So, yeah, this is the week right before, this week decides who goes to hometowns, whose hometowns she goes to.
Okay.
So, this is a really big week, but it's like so obvious. Come on. We all knew who was going to go, but she drug it out to the bitter end. Like, she did not need to do that.
You know, it was definitely kind of annoying for TV and entertainment purposes. But I would say for respecting the process, which is what, they want you to do. I thought it was actually, I think, the best decision to not just say, oh, well, I know who it's going to be, so let me just get rid of these other two. Yeah. I think it was fair because she did learn some things about their guys, but you're right. It did end up being who we all thought it was. So wait, you said, what was it that you just said? Oh, that it wasn't, yes, it sucked as to watch, but I think one guy respected that she drug it out, and then one guy was like, "This is horrible."
Who?
So, well, okay, yeah. So I think, obviously you've watched the show. If you're listening to this, it's Wednesday, whatever. Sean,
or you just want to recap, so we're here to tell you.
Yeah, so Sean, you remember, and Tanner were the guys I think everyone knew, like, they're not going to be hometown guys. Right. Sean didn't like that she was dragging it out. He rushed her into a decision.
Oh,
and Tanner
yes,
was like, oh, this is best. I respect this of her. This is the best case scenario. He said those words. This is the best case scenario for me that she drug it out.
That's true. But, like, it had to have been so obvious to him. They haven't even had one-on-one time at all.
I will say Shannon. Wow. Tanner is definitely one of those guys that at this point in the season, most seasons, everyone was like, who is this man? Like, who is this guy even? But they've kind of been dropping hints about who he was. Is why I think the producers want him to stick around in the franchise.
They've been showing him basically every episode just being like, oh, I really need time. Oh, when am I going to get my time?
But to be fair, he's not doing it in an annoying, whiny way that these other guys are.
Sure.
He's very respectful. He's just like, I want to get to know her.
Sure.
So I think he seems like a good guy. Like I said, the way he reacted. Okay, well, let's talk about what Sean and Tanner went through, because Sean and Tanner start off, they don't find out right away, but they found out that they're on a 2-on-1.
A 2-on-1. We love a 2-on-1.
Right. They get to the
But how unfortunate that we couldn't get a 2-on-1 with Aaron B and Brayden.
No, I didn't want that because
did. That would be great.
You talk about you don't like the obvious. We would all know who was going home. She wasn't going to pick Brayden over Aaron B.
Okay, well then maybe like in a Brayden Sean 2-on-1. Even that would have given us more drama.
Right, but I think that's so played out. We've seen
Mr. Mature.
No,
You're like, we need mature bachelor.
No, that's not what I'm saying. You're misunderstanding. I'm not saying, I need to be mature all the time. But if you watch any TV show and it's the same formula every season, it doesn't matter if it was funny the first 5 times. The 6th time, you're like, okay, y'all got any new jokes? Or y'all got any new storylines?
We have not seen. When is the last time we saw a feisty 2-on-1?
Are you kidding me? 2 seasons ago, whenever it happens every season.
Whenever who? What? You didn't finish?
I don't remember their names.
Exactly.
But no, okay, it was like a year ago. What was Susie's, the guy that Susie was a Bachelorette contestant on. His name, he was a big football player. It's Susie, and he ended up picking Susie.
I don't even remember.
Right. So it's not,
I
her
don't
name's
know.
not Gina Marie, but she's an Italian girl, and she was with the Midwestern girl who was kind of crazy, tall blonde, and the tall blonde was calling her crazy and calling her a liar.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So that happens every year. We don't remember them, and I guess you wanted them to play the hits. I digress. All I'm saying is I like that it wasn't just a by the numbers. If it's a by the numbers show, we don't need a new season. We can just go watch the old season, right?
You've said by the numbers before.
Okay, but you have to admit that every episode, you have to admit.
Okay, so on this 2-on-1, Sean and Tanner are there. What do? They go eat crawfish. They learn how to eat crawfish. And the guy that was teaching them was very funny. And he was like, well, if Charity doesn't pick either one of them, then I'm available.
Yeah, I like that they gave him subtitles, as people pointed out. I didn't think he was unintelligible. I think they were just doing that to be funny. You know, he's got this strong Cajun accent. But it was just a normal activity. Nothing really happened. They just watched the crocodile or alligators. Which one is it in Louisiana? I'm really not sure.
Oh, I don't even know the difference in general.
So I think it's because of the Florida Gators. So I'm gonna guess they're alligators, right? Anyways, so these alligators, they watched them. You know, I actually got pretty close to them.
Yeah,
I saw
that was scary.
some, maybe reproductive positions. The beauty of procreation. So that was interesting. And then afterward, throughout the date, Sean just had a better repertoire. Wow, repertoire. There's some new vocabulary for you. Repertoire with Charity. He seemed to be a little smoother. Tanner was a little more reserved. And I guess it looked like that was going to pay off. He even laid the move while she was doing her interview. You remember he came up and
remember
kissed her?
I had just said, they never say bye when they send him off.
Mm-hmm. So he's, he was playing it well, and Charity would even admit it. That's what I like to see. He's just making it known. But you could kind of see on her face even then that she knew, like, wow, he's trying really hard, but this just isn't doing.
Right.
See, it's so interesting because there's 6 guys in this episode, 4 guys going into hometowns. They set up this kind of like the worst of the least of the rest 2-on-1 scenario with Tanner and Sean, right? And I think that's why neither of them got a rose. It's because she's like, neither Tanner and Sean are getting this rose. So why you can't force me into it just by putting them on a 2-on-1.
That's a thought. I don't know. I just kind of thought maybe she just wasn't ready to face it. She wanted to do it under certain circumstances.
You're right. She did seem to have trouble saying face to face. Maybe she wanted the cover of a rose ceremony to just kind of make it less personal.
Yeah.
But in that moment, Tanner did open up. I think Tanner she might have just sent Tanner home then. But Tanner opened up about his past, gave her some emotional vulnerability that she likes all the time.
She really has been taking the breakups very hard.
Yeah, she has.
So I could see her being I'm not ready to do this breakup here and now yet.
Yeah, so like I said, they get through it, and they end up she's saying, hey, I'm not ready to decide. We'll get more time, which Tanner again was like, that's great for me. All I wanted more time, but this sends Sean into spiral mode. He was already kind of spiraling, but we forgot to talk about this. He did enjoy the competitive nature of it all, because before they had this 2-on-1 scenario, he was already like, I don't know if I'm there. I haven't got enough validation. It's 2-on-1 time with him and Tanner. He's like, I'm going to get the... Because at first, he's like, I don't know if she's ready to meet my family.
Right.
Once it was competitive, he's like, she's going to meet my family.
Right.
So since he didn't get that rose, that's kind of what sent him down that spiral of, oh my gosh, no validation. I need to know right now. I'm so confident, so how can she not know? And so, after, which we'll talk about later, Dalton comes back from his 1-on-1. Sean is just, with the rose, Sean is just, I guess, needs his answer right then and there.
Yeah.
It made it seem as if he gets up right after that and goes over to where the producers lead him to where she's at. Mm-hmm. Explains all his thoughts and what he's feeling. And she just says, hey, I'm not ready for it, nor do I think we'll get there.
Yeah.
Can I walk you out?
And like I have stronger connections. It's
Yeah.
just not it.
Yeah. So I mean, again, like you said, we all saw it coming.
Yeah.
So okay, so you said you would have just wanted a Braden Aaron B 2-on-1.
I mean, I think it would be dramatic, but I don't. Yeah, I think it would make for good TV.
Interesting. Okay. I'm more for, I guess, maybe just more inventive. I just felt, you know what I'm saying? Like, I felt
What?
like I would have rather how they did this. Because have we ever seen a 2-on-1 where nobody got the rose, but they stayed around?
I'm sure, but I don't know. I don't remember.
Okay. Well, that's what ended up with Sean, and then Tanner, who, like we said, seems like a good guy, doesn't stay much longer. He goes on the eventual, what ends up being what?
Yeah, that was weird.
He goes on I guess they call it a group date.
I guess it was a group date, but really it was just like, yeah, I mean, yeah, it was a group date, but,
And she still didn't give out the rose then.
Well, it was 4 of them or 3 of them, and she had 2 roses to give out?
There's 3 of them. She had 2 roses to give out. She gave 1 to Aaron B. And then she told Xavier and Tanner, I have 1 rose left. I'll think about it. So we're thinking, man, Tanner's going on his second 2-on-1 in a row.
So it was like a 3-on-1.
No, it was like a 3-on-2, which we don't have to keep going by, mathematic formulating equations.
I thought it was.
There was 3 people, 2 roses, right? Yeah, and so she could have given out 2 roses. She only gave out 1, and effectively was going to have a cocktail ceremony with just Xavier and Tanner. But as we know, she decided to just tell Tanner in his room.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, Tanner had a kind of, it was strung out his exit, but I think it was the best for him. We got way more screen time than he ever would have gotten before. And he seemed very gracious, and Charity breaking up with him, even though he was hurt by it. I just think, if you're going to be the 5th guy left, that's one of the best ways that it could happen. Because you could be like,
why?
who's this irrelevant
guy?
Go
on Paradise?
Well, yeah, people have sympathy for him, but we still don't really know who he is. So it's kind of like, oh, yeah, we'd like to see him in Paradise. We don't have any strong opinions on him.
That's true. But I just feel like if I was in his position, I wouldn't know. Like, I would be like, just put me out of my misery. Like, I would know.
It's so, I think that, and I even say that, but think about how many times in real life, people in real relationships, all of their friends are like, ooh, and they still don't know.
Oh, people that's are telling a toughie.
Yeah, people are telling them to their face, hey,
yeah,
and they just are like, well, maybe. Ah, wow, hitting a little close to home.
Oh, yeah, that's hitting a little close to home.
So that's all I'm saying is, it's not as apparent when you're in there. It's like Big Brother.
Yeah.
We see way more than they see.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was the saga of Sean and Tanner, which again are the 2 people that left. Let's talk about the 4 we got left that are going to be going to hometowns.
Yeah, we gotta talk about Joey's 1-on-1 because that was really amazing. First of all, I think they really like each other.
Yeah, definitely.
They had the very, like you say, by the book date where they go around town and see all of the sights of New Orleans, which was cute, but we've seen it a million times. They did have the guy doing poetry for them.
Yeah.
But the main thing was on their evening date, they had a really great conversation about having an interracial relationship where Charity was just like, hey, what's the deal? Have you ever dated a woman of color before? A black woman specifically? There are challenges. There are going to be some challenges. And I think that Joey handled it very well. I think he was like, yeah, I'm never going to know what your experience really is and what it's like, but I'm going to try to learn and be as supportive as possible.
Yeah, I think it was a great way to handle that. He seemed very thoughtful. It didn't seem disingenuous. He just seemed to be responding from a place of understanding and not just understanding. It seemed he genuinely would want to explore the relationship with Charity would be like, no matter what the obstacles are. Understanding that he hasn't experienced those obstacles and would like to get through them.
Right.
So I thought they definitely have a good connection. They had a nice little cute date as they in New Orleans. They did the like walk around the city. Oh, they didn't even walk. It was a horse-drawn buggy. You know, they did the second line. They did tarot reading, and then they even had a typewriter poetry, which you were perplexed by.
I just said that.
You said typewriter poetry?
Well, I said they had the poetry guy.
Oh, okay. That's what.
But I was perplexed by the typewriter
until
you were like, "Well, they can't have technology out there."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, duh."
So yeah, you're right. It was a good date. I think they had a great conversation, just like you said. I think Joey, at the end of it, if you remember, he said, "I'm falling in love with you," and she, did her little charity nerdy smile, and then in her, we call them diary rooms. That's not what they're called on the show. In her diary room interview with the producer, she said, "Oh, and I'm falling in love with him." I believe that's the only person she said that so far. I think that's a lock that Joey is in the final two. And honestly, I would not be surprised if Joey right now is our top contender. It seems inexplicable.
Yeah.
It seems kind of like.
Hey, but what about Dalton?
Dalton is strong. Dalton is very strong. I think as of after this episode, I say my perspective final two is Dalton and Joey, but I don't know. I think Joey right now has got an edge up on Dalton. I think it's Dalton. I'm always saying Dalton. I think it's Dalton.
I'm sorry. That's my southern
Dalton.
Dalton.
Yeah, I think it is Dalton. I think it is Dalton.
I'm sorry, Dalton. Dalton?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Don.
She, I just think their connection right now is a little stronger, and Don is making strides, but I can't. I don't know. It just that's the vibe I'm getting from her. I could be dead wrong. It could be editing could be off, but I think that's where we stand on Joy. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree.
So, like we said, we talked about Dalton. He got his. This is actually a pretty big thing that he got. Not only his second one-on-one date. Not only was he the first to get a second one-on-one date. This is a back-to-back one-on-one date. She just had a one-on-one date with him.
Oh yeah.
Last week, and now again, he's got a one-on-one in New Orleans, which of course had Aaron B a little bit upset. Aaron B said he lived for 7 or 8 years in New Orleans, and just literally couldn't stop saying that.
Right.
And I just wanted to be like, "We get it, bro," but he was literally pouting.
Yeah, he was like, "I can't believe this. This is my city. I should be going out with her." But just even like, I don't know. Pouting is the perfect word for it. It was like, dude, are you a 1-year-old?
He was whining.
What?
Yeah, no, and listen, like we also realized that we'd forgotten he was from our city. He's a Houstonian. So I feel like I have to give him the benefit of the doubt and root for the home team.
You usually go hard for the Houstonians on these shows.
This guy, we have a toddler, and I'm not gonna lie, I saw similar behavior from Aaron B. It was weird.
God, it was weird.
Why didn't he pick me for
New
Orleans?
It literally making a face, scrunching his nose.
This isn't fair. And it was like, Aaron, do you need some milk? Yeah. You want your pouch?
Do you need a nap?
Yeah. So I'm sorry. As much as Joey and Dalton made strides this episode, I think that Aaron B just bottomed out. It looks like he goes far based on the previews. But that's the one where I'm like, Charity, what are you doing? This guy.
It still just feels so performative.
Not only is it performative, he just seems lame, Like, it's not even cool performative. It just seems lame. Yeah. I'm like, what are we doing here, bro?
He just seems fake. I want to hear from his friends.
Yeah.
Is it the type of thing where they're just like, oh, that's just Aaron?
Well, I think, yes, there's that. But what if, he could have fake friends. If you surround yourself with people who are like-minded, they don't all notice that they're all faking it,
True.
So, yeah, Aaron was upset that he didn't get the one-on-one date. But Dalton, of course, was happy that he got this second back-to-back one-on-one date with Charity in New Orleans, and they did a marathon. It's just like, did they run out of ideas? Which, I guess a fun run is something that we haven't seen before. But And I guess actually, yeah, they're both athletic people. But she said she was not into running. She wanted to emphasize the fun part of the fun run. But I guess, it's just a run around the city date. Not much more to it than that. We didn't see too much of their connecting through there because I'm sure they were just huffing and puffing. But when we got to the evening date and that one-on-one with Dotton, Charity went right back into the tough questions, or I guess the real questions. And I also think Dotton had a very real, genuine, good answer. It's not Family Feud, you know what I mean? Good answer, good answer. But I was impressed, and I think that really impressed Charity as well. She asked him, wait, I don't even remember what it was she asked him.
I don't really remember their convo.
But what he ended up talking about was his fear of failure and how that kind of holds him back on some things, and how that is probably one of the fears he has in this process. But his love and affection for her, he said he was falling in love with her, is making him push through that. And she took that as like, okay, well, I'm getting the realness real with him. The fact that he's saying that he's scared of this, but is putting his whole heart into it. That's what someone who is putting their whole heart into the process would say.
Yeah.
And it just seemed very genuine for him. So, I mean, again, after these 2 dates, I think that's what I think. That's who I think our top 2 are, Dotton and Joey. So, you don't have anything on the Dotton date?
It was kind of boring to me. I mean, I think they like each other, but I don't know.
All right.
I mean, I do think he'll make it to the end, but.
So, yeah, after the Dotton date, Sean ended up talking to Charity, like we said, got sent home. Then she had her 3-on-2 date, where Aaron said that this had been the hardest week of his life. That's just the kind of like whining that I'm tired of from Aaron. It was just pathetic.
Also, like, if that's the hardest week of your life, dude, you're doing pretty good.
Not doing pretty. You're doing great. Like, you're very blessed. But yeah. So Xavier was nervous, but said he had commitment issues. Basically, he wanted to be honest with her about her commitment issues. And I think right then and there, any potential Xavier had of being the final pick, or really even just the top 2 pick, went out the window.
Yeah, you could just see Charity's face drop when he was talking about that.
Right, because last week, if you remember, she was scared he was a player who wouldn't go deep, but then he did open up. She's like, okay, there's more to him. Then the next week, she's like, okay, we ended off on a great week. What do you have to say? And he has to say, oh, I have commitment issues. She was like, okay, well, you are probably default. And I think that's why she didn't give the rose to Xavier or Tanner.
Same.
She was just like, oh, snap. What?
I think that kind of threw her off a little bit.
So I think it just came down to like, at the end of the day, I still prefer Xavier to Tanner. So let me send Tanner home, even though he made great strides.
Right.
And she knows Xavier, unless he just has the hometown of all hometowns.
Yeah.
And just really changes his trajectory. I think we've seen, his arc, his peak on this show.
Well, but also what we were saying was that her and Xavier have a lot of physical chemistry, like physical attraction. Yeah. I think she might have like the biggest attraction to physically to Xavier.
I think so too. But I just think overall, I think you're right. I would not say this season is boring, I guess it is kind of predictable. I feel like it's very obvious, but all seasons are like that.
But it's
kinda.
not. I don't think it is.
You don't think it's obvious that Dotton, Aaron B, and Joey are the final 3 guys?
No, I don't. I don't know if it's because the preview is like throwing me off. Okay, I will admit that you are always and always have been better at guessing the final 3 despite you actually having looked up spoilers in the past. But I don't think it's that obvious but I might be getting caught up with the previews because they show the preview of someone coming back and and maybe it's not even really somebody from the show. Maybe it's like somebody from her life back home or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think what happens is, and this is just a guess. I haven't looked up spoilers or anything. I think what happens is Xavier gets eliminated next week. He comes back because he's like really committed. She eliminated. Okay, this is my guess. She eliminated him next week and says something about his fear of commitment. She doesn't know if he's ready. He goes home and realizes, I am ready. I want it to be you. He comes back and says, no, I'm sure. Like, I know you thought I wasn't. I'm so sure. And she's like, well, Turns out
that
I
could be
just
true.
don't like it. You know what I mean? So that's what I had to guess. And so if that's not what happens, that's great. You know what I mean? Everyone loves surprises, but I think this season is not going to be one of the best seasons of The Bachelorette. It's just going to be, hey, okay, we got a solid season.
Okay.
I just hope she ends up with someone that respects her and commits to her for however the length of their relationship is, and not just like because we've had some grifters, some scammers that have made it all the way to the end on these last few Bachelorette seasons. So that's all I'm hoping for now with her.
I want it to last. I want to see a true, long-lasting love.
Well, so do I. So do I. But I mean, that takes 50 years to see if that happens, right? I don't know if we got that kind of podcast time.
Okay, all right.
So yeah, Lord willing, 50 years. Okay, so I think that's it for The Bachelorette. It gets to that part of the season where you're just watching people cry and stuff. So the commentary is just like, yeah, they were crying and said they love each other. What else is going on in the reality TV world?
Okay, so alert, Rachel from Vanderpump Rules is supposedly out of her rehab, I guess, after 2 months. She's yet to be spotted filming.
No, hold on. Just for people who have a general idea but don't really know, what she's in rehab for cheating too much? Like, what was the rehab for?
Well, nobody really knows why she was in rehab, but...
Okay, she cheated I'm assuming everyone knows the Vanderpump Rules scandal. So she's just in rehab for cheating.
Well, she's in rehab for thinking it's okay to have a relationship with your best friend's boyfriend of 10 years.
You know what? This is a sign. This is a sign for us to open a rehab for just random stuff like that.
Hey, no, that is a problem. Okay, so if she really didn't think it was a problem to do that, then that's a problem.
Is it an infidelity rehab? I did not know those existed. Are you telling me that's a real thing that exists?
I mean, if you want to get real deep, it could be like issues with attachment or issues with sexual addiction.
Well, those I understand. Is that what she went to rehab for?
Maybe, but they didn't say. She's not gonna say that.
Okay, continue.
So anyway, she's out now, and we're trying to figure out. Oh, but no one's seen her filming yet, so we're all wondering if she's going to film, if she's not. Some people are saying, well, she needs to because she needs the money to pay for the rehab or just to really keep up with her lifestyle in general.
Can I ask a question? What are the Vanderpump Rules fans? What do they want her on the show, or do they want her to leave?
I think it's a mixture of both. I think some people are like, I don't care. She can go do whatever. But then there's people like me who are like, oh, I need to know. I need to know where she's at, how she is, what she's doing. Is she still stone cold, not apologizing? Well, I mean, she did apologize, but not admitting that she did anything wrong.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, and I said this before, the final clip of her, she was expressing how Tom had asked her to lie, but now she wanted to come clean. So, I need to know where she's at with all that.
So you're just feeling like her storyline hasn't ended, and so you don't want it. You want to know to continue to keep up with her.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought some people just wanted to punish. I'm like, she doesn't have to just go on TV for people to hate her. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
But you're just saying you would like to know what is the update? What is the What is the post-credit scene on her infidelity? Well, not hers, Sandoval's infidelity with her.
Exactly. I need to hear. I mean, he's going to be on. We're going to hear his side, which is probably going to be nothing. But I just need to see from her.
Well, prior to this, was Raquel a big part of the show?
Oh, yeah. Main character.
I didn't realize she'd made it to the main cast. For some reason, I thought she wasn't an original main cast, right?
No, she wasn't original.
She came on through James Kennedy, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, good for her. What else has been Brooke's Corner this week?
Okay, something cool. Real Housewives of New York is back, and it is an all-new cast, fresh season. I watched the first episode, It's promising. Yeah, it takes me a while to know everybody's name and what they all do, so I'm not there yet.
Right.
Once I get in a little further, maybe I can give some updates on that. But
On Real
yeah.
Housewives of New York, I don't watch. I only really halfway pay attention to Atlanta, and not really. It's what I see when I walk by you watching it. But I like to judge these housewives. No, not that's the wrong word. I like to, well, yeah, lightheartedly judge them based on just appearances and the little clips I see of them in previews on Bravo and when you're watching them. And I would say the early contender for dramatic housewife from this new cast, the real New York Housewives or whatever, is a lady with the gray hair, but it's a wig. You know what I'm talking about? She has a hair disease. She's, I think, a fashion designer or entrepreneur.
What?
Yeah.
You watched it?
I didn't watch it.
Were you here when I was watching it?
No.
Then how do you know her?
Well, I mean, we have a reality podcast. I'm
Wow,
not allowed
so
to
you've
know
been
about.
doing your research?
No, I haven't been doing. I just. It's around. You know what I'm saying?
I
told
don't
you.
even know, and I watched the episode. I didn't know she had a wig.
Yeah, she doesn't have eyebrows either. She doesn't have any hair. Those are all fake.
Is it the one that worked for J. Crew?
She's the one. Yeah, she's recently divorced, and people are said that work for her that she has a horrible attitude and she's just not generally nice to be around. So based on that and just the lack of excitement I've seen from any of the other women on the show, she's my early contender for person I'll hear about the most. You know what I'm talking about? The Nene Leakes of Atlanta, the Teresa of whatever show she's on.
Yeah.
That's who I think this lady has the potential to be. I don't know her name, but if she's good as I'm guessing, I'll know her name shortly.
I think you're talking about Jenna Lyons, but let me show you a picture and you can.
Yeah, I'm definitely talking about Jenna Lyons.
You know her name.
No, well now I remember her name.
You do not fool anyone. You like the Real Housewives. You watch it more than just passerby.
When would I have watched the Real Housewives?
I don't know. At work on your lunch break.
Let's okay, you know me pretty well. What's more likely, that I found a time to secretly watch the Real Housewives without you, or the random fact sponge that I am, the absorber of random pop culture information, have just been seeing this in commercials, tweets, social media.
Okay, yeah. Okay. You're right.
I just have the ability to retain all that random information most people throw away.
Is it this? It's her?
Yeah, Jenna Lyons.
But how do you know she has? That's a wig. I didn't even know that was a wig.
She said it was.
Just on socials or what?
I truly can't remember.
Okay.
Maybe she told me personally.
Okay. All right. Well.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you're right. She probably so. But also Bryn, that's one I do remember. She's the single one, doesn't have kids. I think she's gonna be a problem too.
You know, okay. This is what you hope for, right? I haven't watched a Real Housewives seasons with you since Salt Lake, and that first season of Salt Lake, that's what you want to see, right?
Yeah.
Just unhinged behavior.
Yeah.
Personalities you've never seen before that are inexplicable. That's a word I say a lot. Maybe we'll keep a counter for words I say too much. And then just it was in Salt Lake, so they're all Latter-day Saints, Mormons, and
they weren't all, but it was
hold
tied.
On.
Okay, sorry.
Most of them are, save two of them were Mormons, and at that first season. And so you also just saw a side of American culture that you've never seen before, right?
Yeah, true.
That's what I think makes for a good season. I don't know if New York is going to bring that from what I saw. And I didn't watch it. It just seemed like, okay, so these are new, rich women in New York.
But you know what I love about the Housewives? It is so spot on about, like, culture of a city, right? Okay, I don't know if that's true.
No.
Okay, let me backtrack. But, like, I was thinking about this. On New York, okay, the main plot of the first episode was that two of the girls were mad because they, as a group, went to a restaurant that was, quote, so 2012. and not cool, and they like bleeped the name of the restaurant like out of respect. But then this girl has the audacity to say, I'd rather go to Olive Garden than that restaurant. That restaurant is so embarrassing, blah, blah, blah. Whereas on Salt Lake City, you have Lisa Barlow going through a Taco Bell drive-thru talking about how much she loves Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Like, a New Yorker would never.
No,
Salt Lake City girl? Yeah.
No, I think those kind of New York women wouldn't. But I definitely think a normal New Yorker, like a salt of the earth, not salt of the earth, but like just a, hey, how you doing? That kind of New Yorker wouldn't mind just going to a bodega and getting some cheap food. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, because to be honest with you, I know nothing about New York life. Like, literally nothing.
Right. But you just said that you like how true to New York
and
it
then
is.
I backed up, and I said, wait, let me back it up. I said, let me back it up.
Okay, I'm glad we retracted that in time.
Yeah.
I also and I guess this is turning to a Real Housewives segment. I think it's more indicative of all rich upper crust culture that she would rather go to a chain restaurant which has an established mediocrity than go to a restaurant that's off trend. You go to a Olive Garden or a Taco Bell, yeah, you're an Olive Garden or Taco Bell. But if you go to a place that's so 2012, you're not only not like in the know, but it left you behind. You know what I'm saying? You would rather wear clothing that's non-branded, so people are like, oh, you just don't wear branded, than clothes that are out of season, because it's like, oh my gosh, why are you dressing like it's 2017?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure
saying?
That girl actually is an influencer too. Like, I think that's her job.
That's like her whole lifeblood is trying to influence and be on the cutting edge of a trend.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even know if that's a New York thing. I just think that's a uppity bougie thing.
But when you think of New York, do you think of uppity bougie?
No, I do not.
I do.
When I think of New York, I think of people that don't know how to drive. Okay, I see what you're saying. Those type of New Yorkers, yes. But there's also like the ones that don't know how to drive, don't have cars, or think they have a lot of money but live in like a 4-foot box. You know what I mean? And aren't really snobs per se, just like the urban city life. What's the word? Inexplicably. Welcome to the Inexplicably podcast, where we inexplicably explain things that were... Okay, so I think you would probably see that same kind of attitude anywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, Brooke, I guess you'll keep us informed on who's the leading housewives on those shows.
Definitely.
Okay, clear the room. It is time. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now less than 2 weeks away from Big Brother.
Wait, I wanted to sing the song, but I forgot.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, Big Brother's coming, and listen, I haven't checked to see how much it's going to overlap with Claim to Fame and Bachelorette, but I mean, that's...
Wait, hold on. You said less than 2 weeks away?
I did just say that. We're getting, hopefully the cast revealed next Monday.
Oh my God. I thought it was starting September.
Hopefully next time we podcast, we'll have our cast for the Big Brother season. But we really love that show almost as much as any other reality TV show.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it's going to take the place of or what's going to get less time, but we will. This will be a podcast.
Well, Bachelor will be over, right? No,
not in 2 weeks.
Oh, we're going to have to do 2 episodes a week.
No, we're not. We're definitely not doing that.
We have to have a dedicated Big Brother one, I think.
We'll talk about it. We'll figure it out. Okay. Stay tuned to the People's Rose, because again, that is a show we love and we'll love to talk about. But we have a show that we are talking about. Oh, one last show. The Quarterback. If you're into a sports reality like I am, with like Hard Knocks and Last Chance U, Brooke and I both love the Last Chance U shows. We've seen every season of them. Mm-hmm. Football, basketball, great shows, right? Mm-hmm. And so Netflix has another show and partnered with the NFL called Quarterback. And I was hoping for something to that effect, Hard Knocks or Last Chance U. But this just seems more like interviews kind of covering the season. They have done really good segments. There's been some good stuff in there, but I wouldn't put it on the level of a documentary like Hard Knocks is.
Yeah, it feels
like,
very ESPN to me.
Right. Hard Knocks and Last Chance U are good old-fashioned documentaries. And I guess technically so is Quarterback, but it's more just like, if you've seen NFL films, it's more like that and less of like a reality documentary.
Yeah, like I wanted more of like the wives' backstories, you know, and like the life of a wife of a NFL player.
Yeah, it was very corporate.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
And a lot of football scenes, so I was like, ugh.
Hard Knocks, even Hard Knocks to a certain degree feels like, oh wow, we're really getting this. And Last Chance U, sometimes you're like, I cannot believe we got that on film. What
network did Hard Knocks come on?
HBO.
Oh yeah, then of course.
This is on Netflix, but it basically feels like the NFL just gave you like corporate football stuff.
Yeah,
so, you know, I'm going to watch it, but that's probably the last time you hear me talk about it. Let's talk about our other show that we watched Monday, Claim to Fame.
Claim to Fame. I feel like we almost have guesses for everybody.
Let's just start from the top. We're going to go, Brooke and I have worked on our guesses. Let's just start from the top on who we think each person is.
Okay.
JR. I put Don King or the baby.
Some people are going with the baby.
People have said the baby on the show. I think Don King, but I don't even think that's right. It doesn't match really any of the clues.
I still think James Harden.
Well, it's definitely not James Harden.
Okay, but can I say why?
Why?
For one, he looks like him.
Okay.
For two, he did basketball for the talent show.
And was horrible at it.
And then for three, in the picture, he had the chef's hat.
All right.
And you know, James Harden always does that little cooking chef thing on the court.
If you listen to our podcast, we talked about it, that first episode, and they said it on Claim to Fame that he was purposely playing basketball to make them think his relative was an athlete when it wasn't. He said that in his interview. He said that on the interview, and then we talked about this on the podcast.
Oh, dang it.
So JR is still basically, we don't know who he is.
We have like no clues directly to JR besides the chef hat and the baby.
And there might be more, we just don't know, like you said. Cole was found out to be Alicia Keys. We know him. Carson, I think it's pretty solidified. She's Jeff Gordon, right? Yeah. Gabriel, I think it's in the bag. He's related to Kel. What's Kel's last name?
I don't know.
Kel from Kenan and Kel.
Mm-hmm.
Hugo, it's lock. It's Jimmy Carter. It's just a lock. Based on I forget the clues last week that made it obvious, but it's a lock. Olivia, her clues are alien nurse that we just know by heart. And glasses, and they seem to think she's related to either Jim Carrey or Carrot Top.
Yeah.
I think Carrot Top seems likely she has red hair. He had red hair. There's a carrot. It's a comedian vibe. Funny Bunny was a clue we got this week.
Yeah, true.
But how does Carrot Top have to do with aliens, medicals, and was Carrot Top a nurse at one point and then became an alien comedian? Who knows?
I don't know.
Monet, we found out this. Oh, go ahead.
Before we move on, we have to talk about Jim Carrey. Somebody in the house is Jim Carrey.
Definitely, because Ventura.
Because they had new clues this week, and one of them was a card with an ace on it and a magnifying glass.
You're right. You're right. And there's animals and there's
pets. What is it? Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Yes.
And there's like pets on the board too.
Right.
So, but they were saying they have convinced themselves now that Chris is Jim Carrey.
Right. When we know Chris is Donny Osmond.
Right. But they literally were like, he laughs. When he was laughing, he looked just like Jim Carrey.
Chris is
and
in a great
I
spot.
can't even say anything because I swore Cole looked just like Derek Jeter, and he had to be related to Derek Jeter.
At one point, I was swearing that Chris looked just like John Mayer.
So. Exactly. So, like, you know, that happens, but it's pretty obvious that someone is related to Jim Carrey. And really, Olivia is the only one.
So I don't know what the bunnies are. Maybe those are fake clues. Maybe there's something to do with Jim Carrey with bunnies no one can remember. But you're right. I think you're right. I think it is Jim Carrey for her.
And unless, could it be Monet? No, not Monet, because we know Monet's.
Yeah, Chris, who pulled? No, Gabriel pulled Monet's clue,
Mm-hmm.
and it was Saturday Night Live and Curb Your Enthusiasm.
And Gabriel pulled the clue.
I thought I said Gabriel.
I think you said Chris.
Oh, okay.
But Gabriel was so quick on that.
It's amazing.
He looked at it and then said it.
I literally was thinking, wow, this is the hardest clue yet. And he just was like, oh, Saturday Night Live, Curb Your Enthusiasm. I'm like, what? You're right. I hate to say this. I didn't have high opinion of him. I just kind of thought he was floating around to be a goofball.
Yeah.
But he's in a great spot. I don't think anyone thinks he's Kel.
Yeah.
Or has put that together.
He also has really mellowed out.
He's mellowed out and has good relationships with just about everybody in the house.
Yeah.
He's in a great spot. Again, he pulled Monet's clue, Saturday Night Live, Curb Your Enthusiasm. The only black person I can think of that was on Saturday Night Live and Curb Your Enthusiasm is Mr. JB Smooth. And if you look at Monet, just her expression, she looks like she could be JB Smooth's daughter. Mm-hmm. I haven't verified it, but that's it. And then Chris is Donny Osmond. So we have, I think, most people pegged, except for who? Olivia and JR, huh?
And you're pretty set on Hugo.
Hugo is Jimmy Carter,
okay.
And I would be shocked. We could do a "You Have to Admit" segment where you just call me out for being wrong.
If that's the case, then I definitely will. But you know what? I'm really proud of you for admitting that you have come around on Gabriel.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got those new clues. We kind of talked about all the new clues we got. The challenge so the challenge was fun this week. It was a limerick challenge like they did in the first season, where one of the Jonas brothers, I do not know their names.
I don't either.
I was calling the older Jonas brother. Kevin and who else? He says on the phone a limerick into both phones, and then that phone is relayed to a team member who then has to run to one other side of the house and say the limerick to another team member who has to do that, and so on and so forth, till they finally get to someone who has clues related to this long limerick that has been telephoned to them. And from those clues, they have to find the corresponding totems on a shelf and put them in the right order corresponding to the limerick. And of course, that is incredibly hard. Mm-hmm. But you do get some clues along the way. It's hard because we don't really know what clues were for who.
Yeah.
In challenges like this, and they don't really say. But that's where the funny bunny clue came from. That's where what else did we see? It was like a NASCAR thing. I don't even really remember.
Car.
Well, there was a singer thing. There was Vegas chips, which again could be to multiple people.
That's what they did. That's what they kind of do, is make it, because Chris was like, oh, that's mine. But then didn't somebody else say that was theirs in Vegas too?
Yeah, it could, who knows. But yeah, it was a good challenge. It was who was the team that lost? Was JR the team captain?
Yeah.
JR was team captain, and he ended up picking Carson because they did horribly. Chris and Gabriel's team won. That's why Gabriel got to pick a winner's clue and pick Monet. Carson and JR were then, of course, forced to be in the bottom. She had yet to be in the bottom. That's why JR picked her. And then they were trying to decide who was going to be the picker, right? I think they settled on Carson because Carson seemed a sure bet to pick Cole, who everyone had deduced at this point was Alicia Keys' brother. I was shocked that they just knew that Alicia Keys' brother had dated Emma Watson.
Yeah.
Or something.
Oh, yeah.
If you knew that, how did you not know that Cole was Alicia Keys' brother? Does that make sense? How do you have the fact in your head?
You know a lot about Alicia Keys.
Yeah,
but
you just know her brother dated Emma Watson, but you don't know what her brother looks like, I guess.
Even when Cole was going home, Kevin Jonas was like, oh, I know Alicia Keys. Have I met you?
And he was like,
yeah.
Yeah, that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
But that's why they came on the show, because they're literally in the shadow of a celebrity, right?
Yeah, true. Well, but, okay, when we forgot to talk about how when Carson was getting ready to go up for elimination, Olivia was talking to her, and she was, like, trying to get her to guess Chris, and she's like, I think it's Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
So, is Olivia again masterminding this game?
If Olivia is related to Jim Carrey, she's in a kind of an alliance with Chris and Carson.
Mm-hmm.
If she was going to destroy that, she would destroy that if she got rid of Carson and then everyone knew, like, oh, snap. You know what I mean? Donnie's not Jim Carrey. Who are these Jim Carrey clues
Yeah.
for? So if
That's
she's
true.
related to Jim Carrey, it kind of almost is sabotaging herself.
That's kind of a good point.
So I don't really understand it if that's what she was doing. So that's why I was like, maybe it's not Jim Carrey. Maybe she's just hasn't thought the strategy through.
Yeah.
Either way, there's some people that are wrong on who they think they know who's who.
Yeah, you're
So
right.
next week, I'm sure it'll just be even more. Looks like next week they're doing a lie detector interview.
I remember that one last year being like a big
like they revealed
clue
a lot.
buster. Yeah.
Right. It's going to be hard if you've been lying about your identity to get past that.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what's going on next week.
Agreed.
What any other reality TV stuff we're looking forward to? Any other news we need to speak on?
No, just Project Runway. We're caught up, right?
Yeah, we're caught up. There's really nothing else to say except for I'm still Team Anna. Let's get rid of all the haters. Let's see some original designs. That's all I got to say.
It was time for Kane to go.
Yep.
Good riddance. Bless you.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
Hopefully, we'll probably have more. I don't know if we're caught up. I think we're behind one episode, but that's all we have, really. Again, we're out of Reddit purgatory when the Bachelor subs, so you'll actually see us commenting there. You can follow us on Twitter. We're on Threads. We're on Tumblr. There's a podcast directory we're not on. Please let us know. We'll be on there shortly. We're just blasting it out there. But thank you for listening if you have listened this far, and we hope you listen to us next week.
Bye.
Bye.